Hello and welcome, everybody. We are back with game number 2 for the Pre-Alpha Champions team battle. I'm your host, Doa. Along with me are Toby and Harry, two great developers from Sunspear. We saw 3 great games yesterday. Today, we get to see the thrilling conclusion right now. Team Ice ahead 2 games to 1 from Team Fire. Toby, what do you think we're going to see today?
Hopefully we see someone take down Lightforger, because I want to see the back and forth. I want to see the kind of trading that makes this format so exciting when you get down to those kind of like final players. Can they take out the rest of the team? And ideally, I would like to see some Orzum. We've seen very little Orzum. I'd like to see him. He's just such a classic from the pre-alpha. I'd love to see someone bring that might.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
We've seen both Aru heroes, or immortals rather. We've only seen one Karath immortal, only the Ajari so far. So Harry, on the other side of things, who do you think, or what do you think Team Fire is going to need to do to take down Lightforger? Because he seems like the total package right now.
Yeah, he seems really solid, and I think the big one would probably be making sure that you can shut down his harass.
Yeah.
However you choose to do that, whether that's like making sure that you've got those turrets at the back of your base, perhaps walling off certain areas. We've seen a bit of that, like at naturals and things, because you really need to make sure that he can't wrap you up into his pace of the game, because that seemed to be what's gotten people killed the last few matches, right? So hopefully next game we can see Lightforge taken down. Maybe get some back and forth. But for now, he seems pretty clean.
Yeah, we're going to find out. Only 2 players from Team Fire remain. Just Hydra and Mixu left to try to defend Team Fire and try to swing it back into their favor. We'll see if they can do it. Are you ready to get into game number 4?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go. And we're back with game number 4 here between Team Fire and Team Ice. This time around, we have Lightforger, of course, our winner from Team Ice, defending the honor of his team, going up against the new challenger from Team Fire, Mixu. And we'll see if Mixu's got what it takes to get Fire back into it. Because the thing is, if Mixu goes down, then it is only Hydra remaining. And Hydra's going to have to come back and beat Lightforger, Santa, and Magical to win it for Fire. That is no small feat.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, if anyone could do it, it might be Hydra. But I actually have a good vibe on Mixu. Mixu's pretty good at playing broad, and being in quite a few places at once.
Okay.
You often see Mixu being in quite a few places. So hopefully he has what it takes to kind of deal with some of this harassment from Lightforger, right?
Right.
And kind of maintain it.
That's
that's excited for that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're waiting for the game to load here. And we will, once we get into the game, find out who's going to take it. But that's the thing. I think more than anything, it's going to be handling the harassment from Lightforger, because Lightforger just seems to always have stuff everywhere, basically, right? He's always got Sapar in your base, always being annoying here.
Yeah.
And once again, Ajari coming out for Lightforger, rather. Mixu will be playing Mala, so it's another Karath versus Aru matchup.
And I quite like the matchup. Like the diversity here is kind of interesting. And seeing how people navigate the tech tree in response to their opponent.
Right.
Because there's some pretty rough matchups if you choose the wrong things, right? In terms of units.
Oh yeah.
And composition. So I'm always fascinated to see how people do it.
Oh, and here's
this mode?
I think it's the same thing.
Oh.
It's early Legion Hall again, up by the tower. And like we talked about yesterday, this can be very strong. It's a great way to get some Sapari out on the map early, claim some Forge camps. It's tough to do anything about that Legion Hall because it's next to the tower if you're the Aru player. But the thing is Mala, or Mixu rather, saw that game yesterday. He should know, right?
I think so.
He should consider scouting over there, at least checking it out.
I hope he's aware.
I'm pretty sure Mixu's going to know what's going on. Just Mixu, I think will end up playing quite a economic, just stable kind of style, and just try to fend off a lot of the aggression and kind of harassment from Lightforger. The openings previously from Lightforger have been quite harassment based, and so if Mixu doesn't try anything crazy and just accepts that they're going to be a little bit behind on Pyre, I think they're going to be in a really strong defensive position.
Yeah. We do see the Altar of the Worthy go down immediately for Mixu, which is kind of what you do at this point in the build anyway, since you've already got your natural going. But the question is, where do you go from there? And yeah, here's that. Oh, look at this. Another
Yeah.
forward building. We didn't see this before. A Soul Foundry being thrown down right next to that Legion Hall. Huh. Now,
Yeah. So I guess last game maybe the Dervish weren't fast enough. He was like, you know
I
what?
guess.
I've realized an optimization. If the Dervish have to move my base to the front line, that's lost time, man. Just build the Dervish there.
Yep.
And it looks like it will be scouted.
Finding it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he should know.
See all that?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Because again, like, it's not Light Forger did it yesterday, right? Like, you should know, right?
Yeah.
You watched your teammate play against this. At least
you hope.
scout it. Yeah. If that was not scouted, I'd be like, all right, fire's done. Team fire's done. Not my best friend anymore. Now Ice is my best friend. Yep.
Yeah. Friendship ended. Yeah.
That's right. Friendship
Yeah,
ended
well,
with
and-
fire.
Yeah, and I think you have to know exactly what's coming in here as well, right? Like, especially against Aru, the Dervish is like a real threat. That big cone attack, especially when your first unit's so fragile, right? And you have so many of them. So, hopefully there's something on the way to try and deal with that. Maybe some Zakal.
I would
I
imagine.
suspect we will see it Carl opening here, knowing what he knows, and it is a no-brainer to open up with some Dervish against Aru, just because the first units are pretty much always Mars Hunters unless people really give up Pyre completely, and they're just so effective against them.
Now,
there is a good Pyre lead for Light Forge already though.
Mixu did manage to grab a little bit of Pyre, which is more than Team Fire was able to do yesterday against this early game. So at least, you know, when you see that early Legionnaire, the forward Legionnaire, you know you need to get your Mass Hunters out there and try to grab that far Pyre camp. That's a good adaptation there. But now you got to deal with this. Here come the Dervishes and the Sapari.
Yeah, and just this one, you know, Omnivore here, just feeling that extra bit of damage. You know, gonna pull the symbiotes away, and now it's like, oh, you can't dive on top of these Mouse Hunters, even though your army should kill them. There's just that little bit of extra damage, and symbiotes already back at mining the alloy. So yeah, really, really good defense there.
Yeah, very well handled that time around. Now you don't really want to meet an army of Dervish on open ground. That is dangerous for the Mass Hunter.
A bit overextended.
No. Oh, that's so scary. Look at all the damage coming in from the Dervish.
Yeah, the huge infuse there.
Yeah.
Using that pyre, and it looks like there was even a small red circle back up there. You can kind of see Marla's healing, offering skill to try and heal some HP, but then he immediately left that position because well, that was 3 Dervish and you've only got Mars Hunter, so that's rough. And then of course Lightforger going home. At this point, his deliver from evil is going to deliver into the opponent's main base because he spent so much time there, and that's still not an army to deal with this. I think he really needs to count. And
there we go, in the spotlight, and they're out.
Yeah.
All right.
Just like that.
Paparazzi.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating that Mixu has elected to defend this with only Mars Hunters, which by all means,
seriously,
the unit that gets countered. Like clearly using some tactics with the structures to kind of take some hits, and we saw that even the neutral tower in Mixu's base provided a little bit of kind of defense for him, just because the attacking units got distracted by it on the way in.
I think it was just really great defensive positioning for those Mass Hunters, like pulling back, being next to the main building, right? So make it difficult for the Dervish to get back in there and get the full sort of like full effect of the cone attack, right? The cone area of the attack. So yeah, I think just great positioning, great micro from the Mass Hunters, and if you have enough of them, then if the Masked Hunters become a mass of Masked Hunters, then you're good.
Yeah, and I do wonder if that's what Mixu's trying to go for here. While it doesn't counter the Dervish, if he then like transitions into something that goes a lot better with those Mass Hunters, because you do kind of want this huge ball of Mass Hunters later into the game with a lot of compositions, right? And so maybe they're already trying to work towards that rather than trying to put out the fires that are here right now.
Yeah.
Couple
the combination of the Omnivore and the Grove Heart is very key. That one Omnivore, it does a lot of work. It's quite a tanky kind of defensive structure, and so it does take a lot of hits away from the light units that are so squishy.
So for those who
we see Lightforger.
Okay.
I was just gonna say going for the usual move of taking down these rocks, but Mixu's wise to it.
Yeah. Just gonna be able to keep the Mass
Hunters on the high feel ground. It, you know.
I mean, he's just gonna be able to do this and back away. Did I say back away? I meant walk forward.
Or he infuses and then runs. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of indecision there from Mixu. It's going to cost him a bit of the pyre that he won after forcing the enemy out just before.
Yeah. Still a little bit of a pyre edge for Mixu, but certainly that was a little bit he wants back. But I was going to explain the difference between. So you can start with an Aerovore, which is a good anti-air defense for the Aru, and then you upgrade into an Omnivore, which can hit both, right? So that's gonna be you know what you're gonna want early game if you want some defense against the ground. So good for Mixu to get that, upgrade it right away, in a good shape now.
Yeah, I think Mixu's gonna end up with a really super strong mid game timing here if he does it right.
Yeah.
The running away in that previous fight I think was a good way to retain that mass of troops, and here we might see it, this big offering in, chasing down, and like if you don't have your craft units together, it's very scary, this amount of DPS. And I think Lifeforger just doesn't have the number of counter units for this just yet.
Good spread.
I think a few have just popped out. There's quite a lot of Dervish there all of a sudden, and there's a couple more over the other side. We're going to see a push on the third here. That is a lot of Dervish.
It is, yeah, but that's also a nice big concave for the Masked Hunters as well. You're going to have to just play it safe here, but the thing is, it's like the Masked Hunters are there, they're looking intimidating, right? But meanwhile, the Dervish back home are just slaughtering the workers from Mixu. Finally, another group of Masked Hunters comes in, but that was a good amount of worker damage, I feel like, for Mixu. Didn't quite see how many symbiotes died, but it seemed like a lot.
Yeah, and even if there wasn't, there's a decent amount of mining time as all those symbiotes have to run for safety, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, no, that was...
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very nice play. And, like, Mixu's on a clock now. Like, the mid-game units from Lifeforger are, you know, decent against Mars Hunters, but if Lifeforger hits quickly up to some Sharu, well, man, there's nothing quite like a Mars Hunter barbecue.
Exactly, yeah. I've never been to a Masked Hunter barbecue, I admit, but I can't imagine it would smell great.
Yeah, well, they're going to be well done with Angel Fire at this rate. Like, that is so many Dervish, and if those get infused, that whole force is going to drop in like a couple of seconds. Yeah. And it looks like the speed upgrade might be online for the Dervish as well, so you can't retreat even, right? Like,
right. Well, this is just going to be... This is right up Lifeforger's alley, right? The playstyle. They're having harassing units everywhere all the time, right? All at once. But this base is in trouble.
Yeah, so they're going to be even more durable, so you can't even shoot them down as fast as you normally would like to. So these units are just going to get butchered on the way back. The damage is crazy. Look at these Dervish running forward to cook them. Yeah, well, there's the Master Hunter barbecue. You can see that now. Oh man, that's so much.
It's the dance of doom from the Dervishes, and they're going to chase right into this natural. And I don't even know what you do if you mix with them. But you bring all the Masked Hunters back, and you get a good concave, maybe, but... It's gonna take
that's just so many.
I know. It's got more down at that base. It would take a colossal mistake from Lightforger to lose this army, I think. Oh, some Zakal. There we go. Okay, that's what you need. That's what you need.
Yeah. Man, it's amazing that it took. To me, it's amazing that we didn't see Zakal earlier, because a few Zakal at the front slow down the Dervish so much, and I think Mixu really had a time in there where just a one round of Zakal in front of that big ball of Mars Hunters, it really could have put some pressure on.
Yeah, true. All right, so more well-rounded force coming down. Some Zephyrs added in for Lightforger rather. That's gonna help against the Zakal a bit. The Zakal's still very tanky though, and if they can create that kind of front line that the Masked Hunters can sort of fire over, this could still be a good fight for Mixu, but it might be like two ships passing in the night. No, they do see it. Here comes Mixu at the extra base. I think it's the third.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the Zakal don't have their upgrade. They have a upgrade that really helps kind of burst out damage at the start of the fight, which can make them a real threat against, you know, those Zephyrs on the other side, which are usually kind of...
Yeah.
They both kind of counter each other, the Zakal and the Zephyr, you know? But without that upgrade, it's not going to be nearly so effective.
Right. Oh, this is effective. Oh, they missed.
Yeah, that's definitely effective. Classic Lightforger. Yeah.
Yep.
Softening up the Acropolis, the grow part for later.
And you can see he's just like right-clicking them down to behind the mineral line, right? And then counting on it when they get there to micro them into the symbiotes. Because if you attack move, they're just going to get stuck on whatever they hit first, right? So you have to actually like move action them down to the mineral line first, or the alloy line. I guess you could say.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's just not been much tech from Mixu this game, and it's really worrying now. So the Zakals have the upgrade now, which is great, but now there's a Sharu out for Lightforger, right? And that's not just going to pop the Mars Hunters, that's also going to do some serious damage to the Zakals.
What do we have on the ground here? That is scary. The mines are out.
Yeah, just
Yeah, that's a
you know,
radiant ward from the dervish.
Yeah.
So ability recently put in there.
I was gonna say,
Reveal the unit.
I have not seen that one yet. That is new to me. That's cool.
yeah, pretty new to a lot everyone right now.
Sick. Oh no.
Small damage reduction.
Oh no, our adorable little bug
Yeah,
friends.
I'm really curious now what we're gonna see from Mixu to try and counter these Sharu. 'Cause at this point, I don't see a timing for Mixu to attack,
Yep.
and it's clear that Lightforge's money went into tech. Because we didn't see much jump in the army supply after the previous fight, which was such a resounding victory.
Yeah.
And it was all going in towards Sharu, and so now what's the answer? Because Aru
Oh,
they
no.
have trouble against this big powerful spellcaster.
Oh, the sandwich. The pincher
Boulders
play.
Carl's in a completely different position. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that was so close to those Dervish finding a big pile of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, yeah, sure, Zakal might be good against Dervish, but that's lots of Pari along with it. The Sharu there, the Zephyrs from behind, big buff on the Mass Hunters, but that Awe Strike took out so many of them.
Yeah, wow. And then the Dervish all go down, but they do a lot of damage before they do. Everything's
Yeah.
on like half health, and that's a huge craft army still, right? There goes another Awe Strike, really gonna keep them away. And he's gonna be able to take down this Grove Heart reasonably uncontested.
You gotta be careful about the tower here for sure, but as long as he keeps the Sharu away. Oh, see here, you get it down to half health, and you leave it for later. This is the Lightforge away. Oh no, he's going back in. Okay, he's gonna finish it.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is
no.
harassment once again.
Oh no, it
The
hurts
killer
bad.
of economies.
Oh, and then
Yeah.
Lightforger.
the teapot at the tertiary base just laughing, just gloating. The warmth
Yeah,
of the
it's
tea
good to have that
inside
info.
is nothing compared to the warmth of your enemy's blood on your weapons. Was that too far? Was that did I get I got a little bit
I don't know.
Yeah, oh, no,
That'll be
it's definitely hot inside Angel Fire as well. So you know.
There you go.
it's feeling it.
I watched the Northman a
Yeah.
couple days ago. I blame that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I don't see this base being saved.
Probably
yeah,
not.
yeah,
Up a ramp into a Sharu.
yeah, into that ward as well, with a little bit of slow to make it
Yep.
really hard to get up that ramp.
Oh, goodbye. All right.
A couple of Zephyr got lost here, but they're gonna hit the ward again.
Ooh, caught in the ward.
Small
those
slow on
hunters
these
going
units.
down.
Yep.
Yep. Bit wide on that Awe Strike, but
I can't hit them all.
there's still nothing really to contest with this, right? Like,
Yep.
Mixu's making units, but nothing really other than Altar units so far. You know, like
Right. I mean, there's a couple Bloodbound out though for
Mhm.
Mixu now, so I guess he's going to be able to send those over to some of the other base because this is essentially, the assassins, the harass units from the Aru, right? These are kind of the Aru equivalent. They can teleport ahead, as you can see. They can take out some of the symbiotes that way, but Dervish come back in and they're like, my less glowy brethren, you don't stand a chance.
Oh,
against us."
clever.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay.
Teleport
uses his
away.
own wall.
Wow. Very nice. Wow. Yeah, I got him out.
Oh,
Not sure
I
how
love that
long
move.
it's-
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's something that I haven't seen before, and so to be making a game and then to see people doing these neat tricks
Yeah.
is such a rewarding moment.
So the Culling Strike, do you need to? It's just a teleport, or do you need to target a unit to complete it? I can't remember.
it'll
It's,
target a
it's
unit if
actually-
there's one nearby.
Okay, so
Yeah.
but it is just a,
Yeah,
a
well-
point and click teleport, though, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's flexible. You can actually click on a unit, and then it will try and follow that unit to do it,
Oh,
and
okay.
otherwise it will just use a location.
All right, that's what I was kind of wondering. All right, neat.
Oh,
But
big fight.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Big fight. Big fight.
Huge Awe Strikes there. Something's happened.
Yep, that's right. Turret.
Man, there are so many Sharus.
No kidding. 4 Sharu already. Another Osprey comes in, takes another
Oh.
chunk out of the Masked Hunters. The turret is down. All right, the slow on the Sharu, but I don't think it's going to make a big difference. Yeah, it wears off
Yeah.
almost immediately, and that is looking bad for the Masked
That's gonna be
Hunters.
it.
Yeah, the Mask is hiding their shame now.
Yeah, well, the huge Heaven's Aegis there. Lightforger actually had
That's
exactly enough fire, and that's enough to clinch the game. 3 in a row. Somebody stop him.
No kidding.
Whew.
Ice wins. Just one player remains for Fire. All right, well, there it is. Another win for Team Ice, and that means Fire only has one player remaining to try to get them back into this series. But that game was sick, man. Like, the skills from both sides.
No.
These are the best games of Immortal I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, and I love that the games just keep getting better, with Immortal. Like, especially, Dev's perspective, you kind of like,
Yeah.
as you were saying last game, Toby, like, you keep working on the stuff, and then it's sick to see these strategies come out, the hop over the wall, the proxying these things forward, like
yeah.
these small, minor adjustments to make, more efficient, more clean games.
Yeah,
So-
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
It
I love it.
actually was. It actually was a little bit of finagling to get that to work as well, having the ability for a unit or a location. So it's
Yeah,
awesome to see it used first to kill
Mhm.
the moat units and then to teleport over the wall to get away. That was
Yeah.
definitely a little bit of a moment for me. I was like, oh, nice.
I suppose that's kind of a
Yeah.
transcendent moment where it's like the game. It's kind of like it goes from being like your baby to sort of like now it's like a little kid. It's out in the world. It's making its own decisions when you start to see people doing things with your game that you didn't anticipate, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's out
Yeah.
talking to strangers, learning weird things that you never thought it'd do. Like, yeah, it's you never
Killing
know
people's
what's gonna
alloy
happen.
lines. Yeah,
It's gonna
yeah.
start
Yeah,
rebelling
yeah.
against you soon, or well, hopefully not that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, becoming
It starts,
self-aware.
Yeah.
you know, taking fire, like,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the next game we've got because Fire is getting burnt out. Like they're running out of players. They've only got one left. Team captain Hydra. But they are the ace for the team, and they are like kind of the unofficial goat for especially the pre-alpha, right? So hopefully they can take Lightforger down. The man's been on a tear, so I'm really excited to see these Hydra games, and hopefully we can get a win from him, and then maybe see even more games because
Yeah.
that's my favorite.
I've been having
Yeah.
so much fun watching these. I don't really want to end it quite yet. Not to throw any caster bias in the favor of Team Fire, but you know, we'll see what happens. You ready to get into game number 5?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's see it. All right, everybody, we are back once again, getting into game number 5 between Team Fire and Team Ice. This time around, though, Team Fire sending in the last man standing. It is none other than Hydra, who not only needs to win this game, but also needs to win games against Santa and Magical as well. So, beating 3 players in a row, Lightforger just did it. Hydra's going to need to do it if he wants to give Fire a chance to win the whole series.
Yeah, so he's got a lot of work cut out for him. That said, I think Lightforger might be hearing boss music right about now, right? Like this is
Exactly.
definitely going to be his hardest match yet.
Yep.
You know, seeing the early games of the 1v1 competition, you know, Hydra makes Orzum look overpowered. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
really excited to see Orzum for the first time in the team games.
Yeah, that's right. So
Yeah.
maybe we should chat a little bit about the differences between Orzum and Ajari. Obviously, we're well versed with Ajari by this point in the series. Her big ability, obviously, is deliver from evil, able to recall units out of danger and back home. What does Orzum bring?
Well, Orzum brings the Chad. Like he's just like a beefy boy. It's truly like the replacement for the Sapari, the Zentari, Orzum's Vanguard unit, is truly strong. It just gets this big HP upgrade, and it's so dangerous in hallowed ground when it has its ranged attack. That's kind of this inflamed Angel Fire sword.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
the other defining characteristic for Orzum has to be Pillar.
Yep.
The Pillar from the Heaven is it's just so damn strong at pushing into places. Like when Orzum wants a spot on the map, he puts the pillar down, runs in, and that becomes its spot.
Yep.
So we have to see if it comes out this game. It almost certainly will. But Lightforge is doing something really interesting, mixing it up with this proxy location. I think this is exactly the answer to the boss music.
Right.
Try to do something a little bit different to catch Hydra out.
Yeah, because I mean, like, if you've got a thing that only has like a 25% chance of winning this build, it's only, going to work some of the time. But you only need it to work once, and if it fails, well, hey, you've got 2 more players on the team.
Right. Oh, second Legion.
To try and make it work.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So this is all the way in.
Yeah.
Right. He is absolutely all in on this, and so 2 Legion halls. There's the reliquary going down, so it might not be just Sapari coming out of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is
It
really
looks like
fascinating.
It looks like it could be Proxy Zephyr, which is a really interesting thing that I haven't actually seen yet myself. I'm curious to see what he does with these first 2 Sapari, whether they're going to be for gathering any amount of pyre, or if they're going to go in and start kind of trying to mess with the economy and things and stumbling the build already.
Right. Oh, there's a couple Zephyr. Okay, I was wondering if maybe even he would do something like a Magi, right? And maybe try to just make a Sapari more durable to go toe-to-toe with the Zentari. But it is going to be the Zephyr, which is probably the quickest reaction. Oh, that is a lot of Zephyr, actually. 6 of them coming out. All right.
Well, that's the what you really need. As you can see here, these Zentari are attacking at range, as Toby was talking about earlier,
Right.
and so if you've only got spearmen and people are throwing magic sword bolts at you,
True.
you really do want something like the Zephyr to be able to shoot at range. So it looks like
Oh.
Hydra's going to come out and seal
Peekaboo.
this.
Okay,
And he's
awkward.
gonna almost walk past.
Oh no! All right, the Zentari just all over that initial Zephyr, running away. Okay, he does manage to save it. That one getting a little bit body blocked here. It's like, oh no, I should have put more effort into cardio. He's out. The tower getting built here, but that tower is going to soak a lot of damage here, and at the same time, the Zephyr are going to be able to shoot from that hollow ground, aren't they? Oh, maybe not. The Zentari rather are. Yeah.
Yeah, but Lifeforge has got to chase down this army and try and kill it, and he's going to pull away and try and destroy this expansion here, which I find interesting. Meanwhile, that tower's slowly building up. You know, Hydra's going to build a couple with Zentari, so I'm kind of curious here what the plan is.
Oh, I wonder if the... Oh, go ahead. There it is.
Hydra must be going for some tech behind this, and so I think Hydra's doing the move that means I don't die, you know? Like, it's okay if I lose the expansion, like, I'll contest it a little bit, but not enough to, like, lose the game, and...
Commit! Yes.
Oh, it was a little bit late.
No.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. We can see Orzoom appear briefly on the battlefield there, which means that Hydra used one of the immortal abilities, and almost certainly it was Empire Unbroken, which is supposed to, like, make your building really tough, but just slightly too late, and so it went down.
And they even cancelled the tower to do that, right?
Yeah.
So they cancelled the tower to get enough pyre to use Empire Unbroken, but it was a little bit too little, a little bit too late.
Yeah.
So that is really unfortunate.
Orzoom's kind of like...
Again immediately drops a third.
Why not? I mean, right?
Gotta be careful with these revolvers. You can't lose these. That'd be a huge loss.
He's going in. And these revolvers are a lot of money. Wow, I felt like he could have maybe commit there, but I guess you have the Zentari coming in from behind, but...
Yeah.
All right.
I think maybe just the Citadel at the top of the ramp was just enough of a discouragement.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't work out well. Lifeforge ends up taking so much damage on these.
No wind step yet on the Zephyr, it looks like. Otherwise, you'd think he would have used it by now.
It does have to be researched. Yeah, clearly not unlocked just yet.
Yep. Wow, this is such a full...
This is going to be
it's
really bad for Lightforger if any of these buildings go down, right? This is all of his production. And so if he loses all of that, then like he's not going to be able to build any army. He has no supply. Yeah, and look at this. Cancelled.
Yeah.
I think Lightforge is in huge trouble now. I think behind this there had to be some like mass commitment to kind of being able to stay in that like natural location, or it had to be a tick into some sort of like air unit, you know, maybe to kind of deal with the absolvers. But as it is, a huge amount of value lost.
Yeah, the power of ring fit right there from the absolvers, man. Scary stuff.
Yeah.
I like how Hydra's handled this. So I mean, the absolvers are the
Mm-hmm.
perfect unit, right? I mean, you're going to be able to defend them a little bit with the Zentari. You're going to be able to siege up, right? Take out the proxy. Like that was just like the perfect answer to a really difficult position that Lightforger put in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I respect the patience, you know, and like not panicking, not like running all the Zentari in to try and save that other expansion. Calmly putting down that third when he did. Before he'd even cleared out that extra set of buildings that, you know, really dealt with the army. I thought was awesome. Because that base, well, it should be up and running. There's 2 moats there just slacking off on the smoke break.
The smoke break?
Must be morning tea.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing, is to Lightforger's credit, like when he saw what Hydra was building, even back when he was attacking the natural, he threw down his own natural immediately. So he's like, okay, well, I know I'm not going to be able to win the game off of this. I have to try to get back into an economy, on an economy sense if I can, but he's definitely going to be behind in tech, it seems like.
Yeah. But the path that Lightforge has chosen to take in basically all of these games is sacrificing some of their own economy in order to deal damage across the map with some like higher tech units. And we see more of the air units coming out from Lightforge now. The trademark Warden in the back, I'm sure, will make an appearance. And Hydra is known for being very on top of these things by having Zephyr in position. Oh, and flying straight over the scout as well. That's not going to help.
It's not going to really preserve the sense of mystery, that's for sure. JJ Abrams
you can already
would be
see
disappointed in that one. Yeah.
The Zephyr already moving into position to try and intercept this before it can really get onto the back line.
Yep. That one's just... okay, now they're just chilling out too. They're like, maybe not.
We need the scouting sentinel to come back and
seriously, yeah. Oh, they're ready. They're wheeling the rings, man. Lord of the Rings over there.
Yeah, pizza spinning kind of just...
It could be a lot of things.
No, yep.
Plate spinning, pizza spinning, ring fit.
Well,
a unit of many talents.
Let's see if Hydra's research Windstep, because these Wardens might be in big trouble if Windstep's
Oh
ready.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think these Wardens are going to get a lot done.
Oh, the positioning on this is just perfect,
Oh,
right?
no.
Like, cause look, there's the rallied move to there, you know.
Doesn't even need the wind step
Oh, that is
for the
pretty
first one. Gets a bit of damage in on the second
I
one.
think this one might just get out. Windstep's a bit long on the cooldown there, so
Yeah.
that one's gonna get out. But still, I mean, no damage, right? From a unit you were really hoping was gonna kill off like 4 or 5 motes.
Right.
Yeah. This is a trademark Hydra thing as well, just making himself very safe. You'll notice there's been very little map activity, and Light Forger in fact has a 200 to 20 fire advantage. But I don't think it'll matter if Hydra doesn't give the opportunity to be broken. You know,
Right.
this is a sort of an area of expertise for Hydra, of playing Orzoom, claiming that ground, locking it down tight with some just really good movement and composition. And it's going to be interesting to see how Light Forger tries to break it.
And one thing worth mentioning in like relation to that is Orzoom's passive. All Immortals have a passive, and Orzoom's one actually just makes putting towers down on the map slightly cheaper. And Hydra definitely takes advantage of that. He's always placing down those extra towers to give him that little buffer of time to get his army back into position. It's one of the things that makes it so hard to break in and find damage on him.
Right. I mean, Hydra was semi-pro in SC2, so like the guy knows his way around his RTSs. That's for sure. And like playing this super safe style, when you're able to use it to claim like a third, claim a fourth, right, make it hard to break that. That's when it really gets strong, right? When you're just sitting and teching outside like a one natural, like that's not too threatening. But if you're able to stretch it in just the exact right way, allocate just the right amount of units to each base to keep it safe, that's when it really starts to get aggravating for your opponent to try to break. I like the scouting Zentari too. It's durable enough to walk in here and see a lot.
Yeah, I think that even costs some mining time at the third, just briefly.
A bit, yeah, maybe.
It's another multitask test, essentially. Oh, we see a little bit of a push coming out. I wouldn't be surprised if there's the classic push onto the third. If you get those absolvers in position, it can be pretty hard to dislodge.
Right.
I feel like the
looks
double
like
back
Hydra
yet.
reconsiders.
Oh.
I think
It
Hydra
might be
looked
because he didn't
down
have the
and saw
his
not enough fire for a pillar.
Oh, you're probably
he was
right.
like, oh, yeah, one step.
Yeah, the pillar's 100 and he's only got 84.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
Fuse gonna catch
And
the
if
rest of
you,
these Zephyrs.
Yep.
Oof.
If you have that pillar, I guarantee that pillar's going down with 3 absolver inside it.
This has been an embarrassing game for Orzoom the Immortal himself. Like, he showed up right after that building died. He was like, oh, no one saw that, right? And then this guy's like, oh, guys, I told you to attack that base, but I don't have enough pirate yet. Sorry. Change my mind, go home. So it's an embarrassing day for Orzoom so far.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That is a lot of
Arcmother.
Zephyrs.
That is a lot of
Yeah, the
Zephyrs.
Arcmothers. Yeah, so the Arcmother gives resistance to attacks, but not spells. So, this could be some pretty big war strikes here.
Yeah, that is
Oh, there's some pretty sick absolver positioning here. Gonna get a scatter of damage across the whole army, and there goes the pillar down in the middle. There's a lot of Arcmother fields, but let's see if it can resist all the bonus damage from the pillars. Heaps of Zentari swinging a lot of Angel Fire around, and they're actually making their way through. The pillar damage is just too much.
Yeah.
Oh, that was just such a good fight from Hydra, taking it really patiently, and the way he shot the ore strikes was just slightly preventative. Just saying, if you want to sit there in the burn, you're just going to take that spell damage, and it just ticked up over time.
Yeah, I mean, that was executed pretty perfectly. It was not an overcommittal. It was just enough, like you said, to push him back and say, like, all right, I don't want to have this big fight right now, and I know you don't either, so just back off. Let's keep doing our thing for a little bit. But the thing is, Hydra's gotten so far ahead, he's the one who can push out and be a bit aggressive after that.
Yeah, the shower is definitely gonna maintain that value, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like the longer they're around, the more mana they get, the more ore strikes they can drop down on the opponent. Yeah, and now the pyro
and not just
advantage.
the Sharu. One of the secret MVPs of that fight were actually the Magi.
Oh, yeah.
And we can see them marching around in the middle of the army there. They've got the candles on the shoulder, and they're a healing support character that can also provide that hallowed ground. And the healing is a really strong burst healing on a single unit, which really makes a difference when you can't quite focus down those first few guys you're trying to kill.
Yeah, no, and Zentari are tough enough that they don't die and, like, 4 dudes shoot them, they die. No, Zentari's like 4 dudes shoot them, they're like, oh, okay, that's a Tuesday, right? And then they get healed all the way back up
Right.
by those Magi, so really solid.
All right, here comes a couple Spari to join the rest of the crew. Another base is being taken by Lightforger, so still trying to explore or you know, expand across the map. That's what you got to do, but Hydra has so much dominance that it feels like you can just kind of show up at these side bases and be like, "Oh, you building a base here?" No, you're not, and deny that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you can see there was one going down in that 7 o'clock position. It got, you know, Lightforger saw the army coming over and was like, you know what, maybe I don't want that base just yet. We'll hold off for a bit.
Maybe I don't want to lose all that alloy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can see a tower going up. As I was saying earlier, you know, those discount towers, Hydra's making the most, you know, only buying them on a sale.
That's right.
And putting those towers everywhere on the map.
Passing the savings onto his army.
Yeah, it really is closing the net, you know, like you slowly just chop off a little bit more territory each time you put one of these down, and that it's just too hard to contest with this army sharking around.
We have seen...
And the other thing is that...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you go.
All right, well, I was going to say, it's interesting because we've seen this very aggressive harass-based style from Lightforger for a lot of games now in a row, and now we're seeing just like the slow, steady choke-out style from Hydra, and it just looks overpowering. But there is a throne out now for Lightforger, so trying to find an answer to this.
Yeah, it's funny. What you said actually was just what I was going to say, is that Hydra's done such a good job of shutting things down and kept this game really stable, whereas Lightforger's really been thriving in the chaotic games. And you can even see on the minimap, these scattered units, like even down at the very bottom, there's a couple of Zephyrs I'm willing to bet guarding for those Wardens, just in case they tried to do it again.
Ooh.
It's,
that's sick.
Solid defense.
Sharu just comes over here to give a little bit of vision to allow these guys to win step up. And now this army's caught slightly out of position. A whole lot of these arcs out here off to the side. Ore strikes dropping everywhere. Here comes the pillar, which is what Hydra's been waiting for, getting enough fire for this. And now you can't push into that.
Yeah, exactly. Keep in mind, if the Orzum pillar lands on Orzum's army, that's just fine. That's not a problem. You don't want his pillar landing on your army. That's it.
Yeah, wow. There it is.
All right, Team Fire takes one. Hydra gets the team back into it. We'll see if it's enough. Well, Team Fire gets back into it. Hydra, appropriately, I think, saved by that squad to be the final boss, and we can see why. That was just such a methodical, dominant performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like, it just didn't feel like there was much Lightforger could do, even though they were making some pretty sick plays across a lot of the map. All the way from that super aggressive start, all the attempts at harass just completely parried, rebuffed. You know, I don't even think he got Hydra into his second form. He's a final boss, right? You know what I mean? Like, this is... yeah.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, I think the early push was so cool. It was such an interesting thing. I've never seen that as like a Zephyr proxy. That's the first thing first time I've seen that, rather. And it was so effective, you know. It completely took Hydra by surprise, killed the base, and cancelled a Citadel. It wasted Empire Unbroken. Like, it was super effective. And then just this little kind of outplaying just to stabilize, and then from there on it was just steady to victory.
Well, I think that's just such a good example of what Orzum can do versus Ajari, right? In comparison, right? Where Ajari thrives on being aggressive, being mobile, whereas Orzum is like, all right, well, I lost my natural, I've got Zentari, I am tankier in the choke point, so I'm just going to sit back and tech. I'm going to get some absolvers. I'm going to be able to make sure to walk forward, siege out the forward buildings from my opponent, you know, take those out and then expand behind that, right? Because then you've done two things, right? You're taking their supply away from killing those buildings. You are teching up while they are still behind in tech, and you're going to catch up economically. So I think it was just like a really great response that based on the Immortal he chose, right? Which is a cool part of it. Yeah.
I think really good Orzum play, you need to be really patient, you know, and he was that game. And I'm hoping to see him continue it in the next game. Yeah,
that's right.
Fantastic stuff.
Or hyper aggressive. So hopefully we see some of that.
We'll see that too. Some of those forward pillars. I mean, we'll find out. Again,
one pillar.
It is the all-kill format, so that means Hydra does stick around, and now it's Team Ice who has to send out a new challenger. And if Hydra beats the next two in a row, he's going to win it for his team. We'll see if he's able to get that going as we get into game number 6. And we are back here for game number 6 between Team Ice and Team Fire. This time, it's going to be Santa Claus coming in. The mythical spirit of Christmas itself has descended from from Team Ice. I say appropriately from Team Ice, I guess, to take on Hydra. And we'll see what happens here, right? Because, again, like, game point for Team Ice. If Hydra goes down, that's it. Then Team Ice wins. But if Hydra wins this one, then we're going to game 7, and then it's just basically a best of 1. Then it's whoever. Then it's going to be Hydra versus Magical, I guess, as the final boss for Team Ice. We'll see if we get there as we get this started.
Yeah, no, I'm glad in a way that Hydra won. You know, Life Forger was playing some sick games, but you know, the more games, the better, in my opinion. And it's cool to see Santa here. You know, famously, Santa Claus is an Orzum main.
Well, there you go. Orzum v Orzum for the first time.
Yeah. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of fun facts about Santa. Santa loves the dervish.
That's true.
Always comes out. At some point, there's a dervish. It's one of the absolute favorite units, and it'll show up in an alloy line, and there's going to be some workers dying, I'm sure of it. Hydra obviously showed us some just like ironclad defense last game, so I'm sure Hydra's well aware of the possibility, and will have set up much like this to protect all the kind of possible entry points.
Right. Just another really safe opening from Hydra. You've got the Legion Hall that's, you know, close enough to get units out of, but also you're looking over those destructible rocks on the left side of the base. And then you've got, you know, your expansion coming down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty safe.
No, slow and steady wins the race, right?
Pretty much.
That's the... Yeah, and one thing I do like from Hydra's gameplay, I don't do this, but every building feels like it's there for a reason, you know, in terms of placement. You know, there's overlooking the rocks, or it's blocking off some path, or it's providing hallowed ground in some area. Me, I just like slap them randomly in the base, you know, or let the auto build take care of it or something. But it's really sick to see these building placements.
Yeah, I'm still at the random building placement stage of my Immortal play too. But that is true. I mean, having cast like StarCraft 2 for so many years, and then, you know, seeing a lot of players, it is cool to see when you have a really great player in RTS. Like, everything is in exactly the place they want it to be. There is no just randomness to wherever they send a unit, wherever they put a building. It's all got a point, and there's so much to learn when you go back and watch some of these replays too. It's very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can see all the slight adjustments, even in micro and things that happen. Like Zentari are quite neat in that they are so tanky that they provide a lot of time to micro, and that makes a like interesting, fun kind of gameplay where you see these kind of juggling back and forth battles, which hopefully we will see in this game. Santa is clearly mirroring essentially what Hydra's doing, but he's beating him to the pyre. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big story there is that getting this early pyre is going to give you such a huge advantage, especially because now you've got enough for pillar, right? That's the big thing that's either going to help you defend an early attack or press an early advantage, right? If you're an Orzum player.
Yeah. And that pillar is just like such a big difference, you know. That's goodbye to a third base or not if you're not in position.
Yeah, and there's Santa Claus going ahead and making the dervish that we knew were coming. So that's going to be an interesting one. And then we've got Zephyrs on the other side to try and going to have to try and contest with that.
I like the little we saw for a moment the scout from Santa Claus down at the bottom of Hydra's base, just kind of hidden down there at the edge of the map to rush in later and see what he's building. It's going to be nice in the future.
Yeah. No, it's a cute placement for sure, because you can definitely do a little tech check later on. And the tech from Hydra is very, very appropriate for defending what's coming from Santa. The dervish are excellent, but if you're sitting in your base waiting for them to come in,
it's not looking good.
It's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah, I mean, and that's it, right? Because you're not going to be able to get through the rocks because the Legion Hall's there. There's no third base yet to harass, so those dervish are just going to be relegated to pyre duty or maybe just killing rocks duty.
Yeah, I mean, they can be useful
right?
versus Centauri still, but
True.
they're going to relax for a while.
They're going to just hide by the rocks instead of kill them, apparently.
Yeah, I think that may have been a bit of a misclick.
Yeah.
But the placement is so awesome there from like Hydra, right? Those Zephyr were making an impromptu wall with their bodies, right? So the dervish can't just like run past it into the base or anything. It's like, no, you actually have to contest with us, fight these units, right? You can't just go wherever you please.
Right.
And it just shows how consistent, like in every little part of the game, right?
Exactly. Well, good scouting too by both of these players. We saw Hydra able to get something into the third, kind of make sure it's building. We still got that teacup, the little scouting unit for Santa Claus, still chilling out in Hydra's base right now. So both players with pretty good information. Santa Claus with a little bit better information than what Hydra's up to, but still enough to know that neither player has like a distinct edge at this point.
Yeah, it's also interesting how Santa came out and collected like quite a lot of fire early on, but hasn't used it. To be fair, hasn't had the units to really use it. Like Dervish aren't really the ones that benefit from a pillar so much, but the pyre's still stacking up, you know, with this map control, and so later in the game there's going to be some serious battle potential with the infuse plus pillar combos.
Yeah. Well, more pyre being snaked away by Hydra here as he walks across the map. Pretty mobile, little kind of strike force with the Zephyr and the Zentari. How much? You probably don't want to commit too much to this. Ooh, that's scary.
Definitely a bit more like micro potential here with the Zephyrs, right?
Sure.
Like the ability to kind of skirmish back here and pick away at damage, and definitely enough multitasking capability to do it.
Yeah.
And already these Zephyrs are here to catch his Dervish on the way in.
Yep.
Super fast response.
He's going to try to chase down some of the... chase down some of the moats, and he's killing so many of them, actually. Look at this. Despite the fact that he's going to lose these Zephyrs at some point, he has killed so many moats. I think 4 or 5 already. Another one.
Yeah, that's
it ended up being incredibly effective.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was a stroke of luck because the moats were split, and the way that Dervish turned, the cones went past each other and shot either side and actually still killed them. Oh, Hallowers.
Oh,
that's
actually
very cool.
Yeah,
First time we've seen this.
that's great.
Yeah.
So the Hollowers are that longer range siege unit, so they're going to make it very difficult for the Zephyrs to advance on this third. And if any base was vulnerable for Santa Claus, it was definitely the third. So I think really intelligent to pick up a couple of those.
Yeah, and it seems like Hydra's immediately going for the rocks, right? Because Hallowers are really powerful. They have super long range and a little bit of AoE, but they're quite slow, right?
Yeah.
And they're not very good in a direct fight if all armies are shooting each other. So this idea here to kind of move around the back is really sick.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really good. And if a pillar comes down from Hydra and he's in a position, it's really hard to dislodge. Like, Hallowers are amazing at range, don't get me wrong, but their DPS is not high. They chip away at things.
Right. They just scare you, right? You get a little bit too close, you take a big shot from it, and you're like, okay, I back off, right? And it just makes you hesitate. And speaking of hesitating, I'm a little bit surprised that Hydra didn't commit a little bit more to this. I mean, I guess you don't have the Ajari ability to pull people out, but still, you know, you're pretty mobile at that. But okay, so he's going to distract a bit with the Zephyrs and then send, or some Zentari, and then send the Zephyrs to the third. How well is this going to work, though?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think this is the Hydra slowing steady, you know.
Yeah.
He's taking
the Hollowers.
Oh, he's catching the Hallowers out. That's really good.
Huge jump forward. You have to be so careful with that, right? Like, yeah, and then the pillar immediately.
Yep. Okay.
One of the Hallowers was enough. Here's the huge 30% stack boost. It's going to demolish that Acropolis so fast.
Oh my gosh, that damage is insane with that.
It's a lot of Zephyrs.
It's a huge bonus, yeah. It's really interesting to me that Santa didn't try contest that a little bit more. Like, if you have the Hallowers poking away, you can actually use the Empire Unbroken to delay the that Acropolis going down so quickly. But I guess, you know, Santa's also decided to play it slow and steady this game, and giving up the Acropolis was the better option there, apparently.
I guess so, yeah. All right, going to be able to take out the Citadel as well here. Very smooth. And this is big, I think, for Hydra, right? Because now you've denied your opponent the third. They're going to build sort of emergency third down the bottom left is Santa Claus.
Yeah.
But...
oh, that is a...
oh, a pillar. Wow.
Oh. Yeah, very big defensive pillar there for 4 Zephyrs is kind of... might be an overreaction, but the good news is the pillar doesn't go away. It's just going to hang out there. So if there ever is another push down that side of the map, he will be ready for it.
True. You just still have the aura buff, I suppose, right? So, and the thing is he had... we talked about Santa Claus taking a lot of pyre but not using it. I think he realized the same thing. He's still got over 100 pyre left over, so he's like, all right, why not create a little bit better of a choke point for me there?
Yeah, it's also possible that he didn't realize quite the army position. Like, he might have thought that was the front of a big army, and you do have to put that down early, otherwise you might just get wind stepped on. And if you lose all your units right up front, well, the pillar doesn't help much.
Pretty quick Sharu out of Santa Claus as well. So definitely going quality over quantity here, but Sharu for Hydra as well. So it still feels like Hydra's got the edge here. in a big way.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because Auzoom fights, you know, are usually a lot about the pillar positioning, but if both armies can kind of maneuver around and both have Sharu, it's going to be a lot about control. Who can land these really good ore strikes? Who can deny the really good ore strikes from their opponent? And it looks like we're going to see that fight coming up right now.
Yep.
No pillar from Santo. He just spent his money on a Citadel. This could be a really good opportunity.
The snipes.
For the ore strikes are overlapped.
All right, snipes right there. I mean, on the
wow.
Sharu, yeah, the all strikes come through, but man, that may be about that as Hydra comes in, takes out all the big tech from Santa Claus, and it might be a little
There's
tricky.
so many Zentari actually still pushing through.
You know.
Zephyrs don't do bonus damage to Zentari. There's quite a lot there.
Well, let's.
Man, it looked like such a good engagement, but Zentari are just so healthy.
Yeah.
It was a great jump on some units that were vulnerable. Did pick off the Hallowers and the expensive units. It's such a shame for Santa that he wasn't in Hello Ground, and now there's just too many units coming across the map, and there's no getting away.
Yeah, the reinforcements coming in fast and hard for Hydra, and again, like just killing all the high-tech stuff. It represents such a big economic loss for Santa Claus to lose all that. That I think that's where the real kind of victory lies for Hydra, is that, you know, he might not have been able to take out any buildings in that push, but just getting rid of all of that alloy and ether that was spent, you know, is serious.
Yeah, you can see that Magi there getting the Hello Ground makes this a really impossible thing to push out into currently, right? And you can see the tech value, those high-tech units are now like in the army power down the bottom there. Huge advantage for Hydra, right? And most of that isn't Sharu and some of these other high-tech units like the Magi.
Oh, the Magi. Left a bit high and dry there, but I think Hydra's going to be okay.
Yeah, Santa's in huge trouble. The Zephyr count means that Hydra can snipe the Sharu out, and it's just looking like a sad decline here for Santa in the end.
I think so. There's a GG, and that's going to be another victory for Team Fire, and that means we are all tied up again. We are going to Game 7. Well, there you have it. We're all tied up. Hydra gets another win for Team Fire, and we are going to the final game. I didn't know what I expected coming into this series this weekend, but we're going the distance. I love it. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad it went to 7 games, you know, because we have this all set up and you're like, well, I hope it goes well, you know, but it could just be a 4-0 stomp, but it's almost played out perfectly, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm so glad,
Well, that's
and we wanted
Yeah.
We wanted some Warzone. We got some Warzone, you know. We've seen some amazing high-level Warzone play to round out the end, and so we've seen like the full gambit of Immortals, which has been really fun.
Yeah, it's neat to see because it feels like every Immortal definitely has its place right now in the alpha, and we're starting to see players like attach themselves to one or the other, right, and really sort of master the different intricacies of what these Immortals can do, which is very cool to see. And I gotta echo you. Like, I'm so happy we got to Game 7 because I mean the all kill format is neat in that if we do have one player, the first player from one team, take out everybody on the other team, that's really impressive as well. But we've seen, I think, great runs by multiple players. We saw a great run by Lightforger on Team Ice. Now we're seeing a great run by Hydra on Team Fire. And we're coming down to the final game. So I'm more than ready to go in and see who takes this whole series.
Absolutely.
Let's find out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And here we are, the final game of this series. It is going to be epic. The final game of the pre-alpha champions team battle, Team Fire versus Team Ice. Hydra winning 3 in a row, now having to take out Magical from Team Ice to win it for Fire. In not quite a reverse sweep, but very close. As after Lightforger won so many, now Hydra coming back, but Magical, the final boss for Team Ice. I have no idea who's going to win this one. I legit have no idea, and I'm so excited to see who's going to take it. It looks like we're going to get an Aru versus Karath matchup, too. That's great.
That's so cool. I love to see this as a finish. You get the faction versus faction.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen, like, a huge amount of Marla either, and so it would be really nice to see some more.
Yeah, they're like the bosses of the faction, right? She's the matriarch. He's like in charge of the empty throne, while Iris is getting some cigarettes from down the dairy. So like, it's really sick to see. Like, you know, it's kind of a cool clash here.
Yep. Went out of the universe for cigarettes, and never came back.
Yeah, exactly.
Not yet.
It's a dangerous place out there, man.
Yeah, no, true. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe it's more dangerous around Pyre. That's a pretty dangerous sun. and a lot of really dangerous planets.
True enough. Well, it's dangerous on this map right now, as we have been not super dangerous yet. We just got the scouts going. We got the expansions being built early, and so expansion before gas for Hydra. So taking a very measured economic approach, where I think it was the same for Magical as well. It looks like it was probably expand before Ether there as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what it seemed to be.
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah. This is kind of like the generally agreed upon way to play at the moment, where you want to expand as soon as possible and then follow it up with at least a little bit of Ether, so you don't kind of stall out your tech too bad. And then generally they go for a round of kind of the basic units to get out on the map, because you do want to be contesting that pyre.
Right.
And they've kind of discovered that you can't hold everything. Like, sometimes you will lose the natural, as we saw in the Hydra game versus Life Forger, that really good Zephyr proxy. But it turns out that they have to sacrifice so much to make these pushes work that you can be in an okay spot afterwards anyway. And I see Hydra still following this philosophy.
And I mean, you can see how much both players want it, right? I mean, there's no funny business at all going on in this game yet. Both players just playing like straight up macro. There's the Masked Hunters coming out for Magical there. So yeah, pretty basic, good, fundamental Immortal, it seems like at the moment.
Yeah, no, and I think it's awesome. I want to see a big ass long game. You know what I mean? Like,
Me too.
And yeah, it's the same stuff from Hydra, right? Like, you close your eyes, maybe open your eyes 5 minutes in the game, you probably know exactly where he'd be. You know, the same kind of really consistent pattern. But I think that speaks to like how familiar he is with that, right? Like, he's really consistent on that.
Now, there's a lot of Masked Hunters coming across the map right now. They're probably just going to grab some pyre, but there's always... Okay, yeah, I was going to say, there's always the danger that they just keep going. But it looks like it will just be the pyre. And again, the safer choice for sure.
You can see Hydra's scout here sharking to try and get the pyre, maybe.
Yeah.
And stop. He's going to completely surround it, so there's no chance of that happening.
You can steal it. It is
move on to the next
possible.
game. Yeah.
I mean, only 30 HP or whatever on those scouts. Like, they're really, really weak. But if you're lucky, you can maybe sneak in there sometimes. This is going to be more difficult pyre to take for Magical, though, with the Zentari there for Hydra.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's really nice the way Magical's pushing the scout away and kind of maneuvering the units here. The slight range advantage for the Masked Hunters does mean they get that little bit more breathing room kind of to push around the other units. But, of course, if you engage with the camp, you just take that extra damage, and there's no guarantee you're going to be there when the pyre comes out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really happy to... I love the pyre mechanic in this game, too, because it keeps players from just playing turtly. It keeps players from just sitting in their bases, building up defenses, not interacting. Like, you need to get on the map and take pyre, right? And so that just makes every player have to be out there active on the map. It's such a good mechanic from the watchability experience, right? It's fun to play, but it's also really good to watch too, because you're always gonna have some action. As we see here, the pyre taken early by Magical, but it's still gonna be a fight here. A little bit of micro from the Zentari.
Oh,
but,
it's
no, wait.
nice. Such nice.
The pyre hasn't been taken yet. The big pyre beast there, yeah.
I'm gonna see it taken down now.
Wow.
Quite a lot for
That's
that,
just-
right? Like,
Yeah.
Hydra didn't lose anything from sick micro. And Magical did lose a couple of Masked Hunters, but obviously that was worth it, right?
Oh,
like
for
1 or
sure.
2 for the pyre. Obviously there's a calculation there. It's like, hell yeah, I'll take that. Let's go.
Yeah.
It was just a perfect execution from Magical, you know. Got the camp down right to that point where it was like just about to be killed, and so you want to be standing there ready for the pyre, and then very intentionally fired down Hydra's units and not finishing the pyre camp.
Right.
And that meant that Hydra's standing there awkwardly, taking all these shots, being like, wow, how long am I going to stay here? Hoping for him to kill the other, you know, the neutral, so I can actually get this pyre.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Magical's done such a great job of controlling all the pyre camps on the map too. Like, if you look at map control wise, it's been all Magical so far this game. It seems like just a lot of Masked Hunters, but we saw him like building the Neurosite back at his base, so he's gonna have access to those tankiers a call soon, which is gonna be good because he knows the Zephyr are gonna start to emerge from Hydra in the near future. So just a very solid defensive opening from Magical, and I gotta say he is matching what Hydra's been able to do in these last couple games, beat for beat so far.
Yeah, and I think
it's really nice.
identifying one of the weaknesses to what Hydra does is that, like, okay, yeah, it's really, really hard to break in there. Zentari is super tough. It's really defensive. But that does mean that you have map control of your going to push out and take it.
Right.
And they've done a good job of doing that. Like, 200 pyre is a lot of pyre.
It's a huge amount. Okay, kind of bad luck activating the tower right before getting into this fight, but yeah, he's gonna pop the offering as well. Again, like getting, I think you get that when you finish the neurosite, right? Is you able to use that?
Yep.
Or is that stock?
No, that's offering.
Okay, yeah.
To research. It's research from the
That's what I
neurosite.
thought.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The offering. Yeah. But there is a second part to that actually increases the damage dealt.
Oh, okay.
Or the attack speed rather.
Okay.
At first, all it does is give you a speed boost and a slight range boost, so you can kind of shark around those fights. But that's enough for the early game, like when you're dancing around in the middle of the map, having extra range and a little bit of extra attack, extra movement speed allows you to take the fight when you want.
Speaking of fights, we got the early Thrum coming in. So fast air tech coming out from Magical here. So the Thrum are going to be able to do a lot of harassment of the mineral line, at the same time taking more pyre camps. I mean, honestly, Magical kind of feels like he's running circles around Hydra at the moment. The game's far from over, but still, like, this is just a great combination of map control and harassment now coming out from Magical.
No, it definitely feels like actually putting some pressure on Hydra, who's been pretty resistant to it so far, right? Like the other games, there's always been Zephyr in position waiting for these kind of attacks, and this seems like it might be a bit too far forward, and Magical's going to agree with that and peel back. And the Thrums are probably going to get cleaned up here.
All right, well, so that was good. Yeah, that was good from Hydra to be able to, keep a little bit behind to handle the Thrum, handle it well.
Oh, and the Legion Hall slightly misplaced. The Icor can actually slip past there. Generally, players try and place that so that it completely blocks off units moving through there. So Hydra will be a little bit unhappy about that, knowing that those Icors are bound to come back later when that's a base.
Yeah, that's going to be super annoying. Well,
it's going to be interesting to see what Magical now decides to move into as a composition. Obviously, Magical's stocked up a lot of fire, and Rain of Blood is such an incredibly powerful ultimate ability. If you have some mana users, some spellcasters on the field, it'll be quite interesting to see if we go into the incubator sort of route, or if we go more down that kind of Dread Sister route where we get those kind of superiority casters.
Yeah. No, and I've talked to Magical about it in the past, and he said one of the things he really likes about Rain of Blood is that, when you activate offering a few times, your army gets a bit low, maybe you scrap a couple of times, it allows you to sustain that pressure, right? If you go in and win a small trade, well, then it's like, well, okay, I don't have to retreat and heal. I'm going to hit Rain of Blood, and I'm going to run in and keep the pressure on, right? So I'm really curious to see if we're going to see some of that, because the man's approaching 300 pyre.
I know.
We've yet to see what he's going to do with it.
400 or nearly 300 pyre, right? I mean, it's I don't think I've ever seen anyone bank this much pyre before. But he's gonna have so much, like you said, a lot of room for Rain of Blood. Gonna be able to keep things going, and now he's got the incubators out there too. So
a lot of incubators. Yeah.
And the thing is when you have the Zephyr and the Zentari, and you've got all the stuff coming out from the incubator, there's going to be a lot of chaff taking damage instead of the units you care about. Those Mass Hunters a little bit out of position here, but now this army is going to be very scary for Hydra to deal with.
Yeah, I'm going to run down and chase, see if it can get some retreat damage.
I'm super excited about this mid game for Magical. There goes the Rain of Blood.
That's it.
That's anticipating. Oh, Pillar defensively to try and keep these units out with that damage buff. I'd love to see Magical rotate around and just take a fight somewhere else.
Yeah, there it is. Rain of Blood lasts a long time.
A lot of mana regen at the moment, but they're getting trapped at the back here.
Wow. All right, there's 2 Sharu out. Those might be a concern, but you can just maybe turn on this other base. Now the incubator's a little bit vulnerable in the back, though. You gotta be careful.
Yeah.
All right, Orzen coming down. Empire Unbroken, I believe.
Yep. Buff that tower briefly, make it a little bit more threatening and make it much more durable. Rain of Blood kind of ends out here without really much happening except for losing a couple of those valuable incubators. Really well played by Hydra, and one of them's just going to get left behind here. All of a sudden, you're left with a whole lot of only masked hunters against 2 Sharu. This is looking really bad.
Yeah, I think that might have just been the moment for Magical, and it didn't end up working out. So now, you've spent some of that pyre. You're still on kind of low tech, so this is a much more even game suddenly, if not a game that's honestly tipped towards Hydra. I mean, look at the army power. Those Sharu boosting it like crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. That was such a nice defense. Like the pillar defensively like that just really says like this is my house. You can leave things.
Yep.
And like Magical started to make the right move, you know, like rotating around to try and hit the natural, but the unfortunate movement pattern of the incubators left them at the back where they got picked off. But here we go, another engagement. The Sharu just shooting these ore strikes defensively to try and back off the units, and sure enough, Magical doesn't want any of that.
Yep.
Yeah, got an interesting rally. A whole lot of units off to the side. Gonna have to pull them back because they might get caught out here. The Bloodwell's gonna almost go down, not quite just yet.
Oh, it's so close. It's got like 1 HP yet.
Yeah. It's going to be slowly healing one of those Mars Hunters up.
I mean, very.
I just don't know if there's enough,
no.
right? Like, yeah, a lot of Magical's army is actually out in the midfield, not contributing anything to this fight.
This is so interesting. I mean, yeah, the army split up, which is unfortunate for Magical, but just the Zephyr Sharu, like that's a composition I don't think I've seen a ton of, right? But it's simple, but yet so much burst damage coming out of the Sharu. Another Ostrike on either side, so kind of zoning a little bit there. Or zoom.
Big infuse to try to take out those Caster and the Resonant at the back.
That's it.
And that's going to be it. Hydra's going to go ahead and clean up 3 wins in a row to end out Team Ice. Incredible.
Well, there it is. Team Fire on the ropes, but then they send in Hydra. He gets it done. Team Fire takes down Team Ice. And I'll say it again. I said this before, but these were the best games of Immortal I have ever seen. I've been playtesting this game for almost 2 years now. I've watched so many games, and the quality and the back and forth and the intensity, like I've never seen it at that level before. That was so much fun.
No, it's awesome. Yeah, it's sick seeing it. It's like, oh, thank God, it's a sick game. Whew. Sometimes you tell me, like, is it gonna be sick? And you're like, oh yeah, it's sick. Never mind. So it's really nice to have that, like, awesome games. Yeah, super stoked. Congrats to Hydra. Absolute monster.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Holding
in
on
a
to
row.
the title, unofficial GOAT, you know, like
Yeah.
that's one way to prove it, you know. It is the pre-alpha championship, and putting the stamp down, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, props to Team Fire. That's Hydraulics, Drago, Hydra, and Mixu, our champions here in the pre-alpha champions team battle. Also props to Team Ice for putting on a good show. They pushed it all the way to the final game, so it was certainly not a one-sided affair by any stretch. It was about as close as it could possibly be. Team Ice, of course, Magical, the final boss, Santa, Yeti, and Lightforger. Great performance, especially by Lightforger there. But as we start to move towards closing things out this weekend for this tournament, I'll ask you first, Toby. What's like the big thing that stood out to you when you were watching those games?
I think the variety of play. It was so fun to see the full spectrum. You know, like game 2 was just a clown fiesta, and I loved every moment of it. You know? The back and forth, like both of them going for the Earjari type strats, like flying around with wardens and sentinels and things, and sniping off the proxy, and like it just was such a crazy game. And then to move all the way through to see the like Santa versus Hydra in this really methodical ore zoom kind of game, it was so fun to see this variety. You know, it means we've made something that isn't one-dimensional, and it's fun to watch.
Absolutely. Well, I'll throw the same question at you as well, Harry. What's kind of stood out for you?
I think I mean, I might piggyback off that, but the fact that players can be so creative, like, and you know, there's real personality. You know, like it's not just that you can play different styles, but it's that you can tell certain players like play very different styles, right? You could probably take the labels off a couple of games. Oh, that's definitely Hydra. You can tell by like the positioning here, like it's so slow, and so I love that. Like, you know, that you can be expressive in the game, right? And like we're missing like 3 races, and like right now we're missing a whole lot of factions. We're so far away from like release and stuff, but the game's sick, you know. And I love that, and I love that you can be expressive even now, right?
It is.
Like,
Like,
that's
I'm so glad you said that, because like one of the things when people ask me like, what do I love about RTS, you know, the most back in the day, like, what is about RTS? Like, isn't it just kind of like they're just moving their armies around? Like, what's exciting? I'm like, the exciting thing is that like I could tell you which player is playing the game just by looking at the game and watching how they're moving the units around, because a good RTS allows players to play their own style, to express themselves in such a unique and distinctive way that a good RTS, you should be able to do exactly that. Like, watch the game without any labels and know who's playing if you know the players well enough. And I feel like we certainly saw a bit of that this weekend with all the different Immortal picks, the different styles we saw, even some of the different builds, like a great variety of builds as well.
Yeah.
So it's great to see the game kind of getting figured out by some of these great players, but that they're figuring out that you can do so many effective things in so many different ways. It's very encouraging, certainly for the future of Immortal, and it's great to see it so early on, because remember, this is alpha weekend. This isn't beta weekend. This is alpha weekend. It's only 2 factions out of 5, like you mentioned, that the goal is, I believe, to release with eventually down the road. So
There's
wow.
So
a lot
much
of
to
figuring
go.
out left to do.
Yeah, that's
So much figuring out to do, and it's a little rough around the edges, but
Yeah.
there's a good
Yeah.
core already,
It's an
which
alpha.
that's the exciting part, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah, a couple of cones on the resonant, but you know
Yeah.
what? I've seen the resonant that's coming, and it looks fantastic. So,
I mean,
it's just gonna keep getting better and
And
better. Yeah, so
and more immortals, you know,
Mhm.
like with every
Yeah.
immortal comes a new variety of play within that
Mhm.
faction,
Right.
and that's one of the other really cool things is we see the difference between Ajari and Orzum already, and so we
Yeah.
think, well, what's Resh gonna bring? You know, it's
Mhm.
like something all new.
Well, that's the cool thing too,
Yeah.
is that over time, after the game is released, sure, it's always like you can add new factions in, you can add new units in, but adding a new Immortal changes things so drastically too that it can like breathe life into a faction that hasn't gotten a lot of attention for a while. We're thinking like years down the road, that kind of thing. So
Yeah, for
there's a
sure.
lot of possibility with that mechanic in the game, which is really neat. But I think it's time we probably wrap things up. So before we go, let's just get some quick final thoughts from our 2 Sunspear devs who were gracious enough to cast and like bring the real knowledge here this weekend. So Harry, we'll start with you. Final thoughts on the weekend.
Oh, fantastic, dude! So excited, so happy that like how far along it's come, how much more is left to go. Like part of me is like, all right, well, it's kind of like time. Should I go to bed? No, I should probably go put in some more units. Maybe we should start on the drawer stuff. Let's get to this next thing. It's like so exciting now to keep working on it because it's sick. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
yeah, and
go ahead.
it's cool to see. It's cool to see like just the community around it. Like
Mm.
I have to shout out to our community like managers essentially. Like everyone knows Jack Attack, and then of course Seamoose. They've done such a good job cultivating a good community, and it's really fun to see them excited out and playing the game at the moment. And of course, being the Alpha Weekend, we're introducing so many new players that hopefully can enjoy the game in the same way. And yeah, it's just really awesome to see. And of course, thanks to you for being here and helping us, show the game to all these people watching.
I'm just thrilled to be here, man. Like, I mean, I've been an esports caster for over 11 years now, and the only regret I ever tell people is that I didn't get to cast as much RTS as I wanted to, because of circumstances we had to move into LoL. And I love LoL and I love MOBAs, but I always wanted to do more SC2, more RTS. So it's been great to dive back into the RTS realm again with Immortal and just see what an evolution of that genre it is, how accessible it is, because we've got this great 1v1 gameplay, but we've also got 2v2, which plays just as smooth. So there is that team aspect for people that are a little bit intimidated maybe to jump into the game in a 1v1 situation. So it's really got something for everybody. And again, it's got like that evolution of the mechanics and the genre, and it's so much fun to see. The art is cool, the story is cool, the factions are very neat. So I've loved being a part of it. It's been so much fun playtesting it for a long time and being a little bit of a part of the community and all that. So I'm excited to see where it goes. That's where we're going to end it, though, for the pre-alpha champions team battle. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Go enjoy the alpha if you've got it. If you are not in the alpha yet, don't worry. There's going to be more opportunities to jump in the action down the road. Either way, thanks for the support. So, yeah, continue enjoying watching and playing. Be good to each other, and we'll see you next time.